Welcome to The Explainer. We're always told to eat healthy, but what does that actually mean? Today, we're going to cut through all that noise and break down the simple, really powerful principles of nutrition to help you build a healthier body, one bite at a time.
So here's our game plan. We'll start by looking at what really gives food its power. Then, we'll meet the energy sources and the bricks that literally build us. We'll uncover the secret role of our body's protectors, figure out what a balanced diet really is, and then follow our food on its incredible journey to our plate.
To really get to the bottom of nutrition, we're not going to start in a science lab. Nope. We're starting with a piece of ancient wisdom that honestly gets right to the heart of the whole thing.
Check this out. This saying is thousands of years old, but it sounds like it could have been tweeted yesterday, right? Notice those three keys. Eating wholesome food in moderate amounts and at the right time and place. This isn't just some dusty old proverb, it's the original blueprint for mindful eating.
And that wisdom, it's all built on an even simpler truth. Ananan jatani jivanti, which means food gives life. Now just stop and think about that for a second. The food you eat doesn't just vanish. It becomes you, your cells, your muscles, your energy. You are, quite literally, what you eat.
Okay, so if food is what builds us, what are the actual building materials? Let's meet the major nutrients that act as both the fuel for our body and its construction crew.
Of course you have, right? We all have. And that foggy brain, that feeling of being totally drained, that's not just a feeling. That is your body's dashboard light, flashing bright red, telling you the fuel tank is running on empty.
So our body's fuel really comes in two main flavors. Think of carbohydrates as your instant power source, the rocket fuel. It comes from stuff like rice and fruit that you burn through pretty quickly. Fats, on the other hand, they're the long-life battery packs. They store all this dense energy from things like nuts and oils, keeping you going for the long haul.
So if carbs and fats are the energy, proteins are the actual bricks and mortar. Seriously, every time you eat foods like beans or eggs or nuts, you're giving your body the raw materials it needs to repair tissue, build muscle, and grow. They're not just building blocks, they're the body's own personal renovation.
But a body needs more than just fuel and bricks, right? It also needs a security detail, a maintenance crew, and that's exactly where these mighty but tiny protective nutrients come into play. To see just how crucial these protectors are, let's travel back in time, way back to the 1700s. There was this strange and terrifying illness that haunted sailors on long sea voyages. Their gums would bleed, old wounds would literally reopen, and this deep exhaustion would just take over. The disease had a name: scurvy.
Now, here's the thing. The sailors had plenty of food, biscuits and salted meat, so they weren't starving. They had carbs, they had fats, they had proteins, so what was missing? A Scottish doctor named James Lind decided he was going to find out.
And the answer, it was shockingly simple. And it changed how we think about nutrition forever. It was citrus fruit. Just a few lemons and oranges gave them the one tiny missing nutrient that made all the difference in the world: vitamin C.
And that's the whole magic of vitamins and minerals. They are the body's protectors. You only need them in these tiny, tiny amounts, but as those sailors discovered the hard way, they are absolutely essential for keeping us healthy and defending us against disease.
Okay, so we have our energy givers, we have our builders, and we have our protectors. The next logical question is, how do we get them all together on our plate? And this brings us to the whole concept of a balanced diet.
This is what all the experts call a balanced diet. Think of it like building a sports team. You wouldn't want a team with only goalies, right? You need defenders, strikers, midfielders. A balanced diet is all about getting the right mix of all the players, the nutrients, the fiber, and water, all working together. This table right here shows you exactly why balance is so important. Let's just compare two snacks. The potato wafers, yeah, they give you a huge energy punch, over 500 calories, mostly from fat. But now, look over at the roasted chana. Fewer calories? Okay, but look at the protein and the fiber. They're nearly triple. This is what we call nutrient density. The chana gives you way more of what your body can actually use and build with.
And that little snack comparison, it perfectly defines junk food. It's not that it's bad, it's that it's empty.
Junk food gives you tons of energy from fat and sugar, but almost none of the useful stuff, the proteins, the vitamins, the fiber, that your body is actually crying out for.
Okay, for our final section, let's zoom out. I mean, way out, beyond just our bodies and what's on our plates. Because mindful eating isn't just about what's in our food, it's also about where in the world it came from.
Just look at the journey of something as humble as a single piece of bread. This flowchart shows this incredible chain of events, from a farmer planting a tiny seed to threshing it, grinding it, transporting it. All of that happens before it even gets to our kitchen. It's a whole epic journey hidden in one simple meal. And it involves countless people and a huge amount of energy.
That entire journey can actually be measured. We call it food miles, and it's pretty simple. The more miles something travels, the more pollution it creates, and the less fresh it is when it gets to you. So choosing local food doesn't just slash those miles, it means your food is fresher and you're supporting the actual farmers who start that whole journey.
Which leads us to our final and I think most powerful thought. Eating local usually means eating with the seasons, which brings us right back full circle to that ancient wisdom about eating food that's appropriate for the season. So the real question is this: what if the single best choice for our planet's health and for our own isn't some complicated diet plan, but just asking, what's going around me right now? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.